Hello everybody and welcome to my breakdown of the 30 Stamina Assault Quest Raid Vegeta. This stage is one of the hardest in the game, arguably harder than Kaiba. It's probably like a 50-50, but don't be too disheartened if you can't beat it. This is supposed to be difficult, and you'll get him next time. You'll get him next time if you can't do it this time around. So, how does this stage work? Well, basically, beat the stage once and you'll get your first copy of 3-star Vegeta. But in order to get more copies for Overboost, you need to earn points by playing the stage over and over, and then trade in the points at the point exchange for more copies. This store is a massive improvement on Kaiba. The copies are cheaper, they've put in enough copies that you can now max Overboost Vegeta for free. And there's some other goodies in the shop that, you know, if you have extra points or if you're not going for Vegeta copies, you can buy those instead. Plus, one thing I said last time that they needed to do, improve the price of power-up gacha tickets, and they have reduced the price significantly. So, pretty good. There's also missions where you can get copies of Vegeta. I'm going to put those on the screen now. There is also a daily mission. So the top 4 missions you can only do once, but the bottom one you can do every day and get yourself some Vegeta points to spend in the store. Now let's talk about the unit himself. Unlike Kaiba, Vegeta's leader skill doesn't change between 5-star and Victory, which was kind of a disappointment to me. But I don't know, maybe it's just an oversight. It could mean anything. Maybe Kaiba was an oversight, who knows. I'll have his stats and his skills and everything on the screen for a bit. If you want to have a better look, you can pause it. Alternatively, go to the database. All the information is there for Vegeta. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget, we do have a text guide on OTHD.co.uk, and I'll link that in the description and in a card in the top right hand corner. So as a unit, I think Vegeta's half decent. I wouldn't say he's like top tier, god tier, or anything like that. But for a free unit that you can get to OB6 for free, it's actually pretty damn good. The only thing is actually getting him to OB6 might be a little bit of a challenge. Someone asked earlier, so I will address it briefly in the video. No, I do not think it is worth spending 10 orbs to revive and get a copy of Vegeta. I know it's annoying if you're close, if you've got him down to 1 health bar and you're right there. I don't think it's worth it. Not for 1 copy of 30 Overboost Vegeta. Moving on to the stage info, there's a lot of process here, so pause whenever you need to and you can look over this. Alternatively, obviously, go over to the website. But this stage is the first ever to be broken down into multiple phases. Phase 1 is when he is above 80% health, which means he has not lost his first health bar yet. And basically, this is kind of when he's really weak. He has no ultimate attack, just his skills, which will alternate, obviously. And he only attacks twice per turn. So there's not a lot to him. But below 80%, he will unlock his ultimate attack. And one time only, he will charge it by 100% straight away. And then he will instantly attack you with that. He also attacks 4 times per turn under 80% health. And he gets a significant buff to his stats, including speed. Below 50% health, he attacks 5 times per turn. And he will counter every normal attack you attack him with. Which is why, if you have a character that boosts the amount of normal attacks you do per turn, that's probably a bad thing. But, I mean, in certain situations, I mean, it depends on your team. This is something that's important, because it's kind of misleading what they said in the announcement. You cannot block Vegeta's ultimate attack. They said Yamamoto was a super helpful unit, and I think a lot of us thought that was why, because he could block Vegeta's ult. He cannot. Vegeta, when he ultimate attacks, before he does any damage to you, he wipes all positive stat and status debuffs from your team. So, you can't use any buffs, you can't use anything to tank it. The only way to help tank his ultimate attack is to lower his stats. That's pretty much it. You can't seal him, so you can't prevent him from his ultimate attack. You can just lower his ultimate attack damage, lower his attack damage, whatever. So it's pretty tricky, but Yamamoto is recommended because he can block Vegeta's skill damage, which is quite high. So, I mean, he's still good. He's definitely still good. And as I mentioned briefly before, you cannot debuff his status at all. So you can't freeze him, you can't poison him, you can't seal his skills, nothing like that. You can roll back his skills, that's fine, but nothing else seems to work for me. I've tried Charm, I've tried Poison, I've tried Skill Seal, none of it worked. Let me know if you had any different results, but it seems to me that he just completely resists it, which is great. So, moving on, I have two teams that I'm going to show you in just a second that I use to beat the stage. There are multiple different teams you can use to beat this stage, but they're just the teams that I use, the ones that I did beat the stage with and get on camera. But first, before we get into that, let's show off some of the units that I think that I personally should recommend to the people. These are the units that are going to help you considerably for this event. They're just going to be going on the screen in the background. Pause it if you need to see my pros and cons for each unit. But for me, the MVP of this event is Seiya. He's a free unit, he is a free jump unit, and he is a free overboost 6 unit, which is just crazy. His damage is really good. I think in terms of utility, there's not a lot there. There are much better units, and I think, you know, arguably someone like Soma is more important, someone like Giorno is more important, but Seiya's damage is very, very, very good to have. So for me, Seiya is the MVP. But yeah, with those units I got on the screen right now, you're going to want to have at least a few of those, and you're going to want the ones that have good synergy with one another. If you have Goku, you're kind of going to want to have Momo. Giorno fits in really well also. Iori and Soma can be used in any team, so that's just a heads up of some of the units you want to use. So this is the first team I used to clear Vegeta. This was my very first run I ever did of the stage, and I did in fact clear it, which is kind of funny because that team is somewhat inconsistent. I think agile HP leads are most likely the way to go in most instances. I've seen a few people running a Giorno lead, and that seems to be more consistent, so if you want to try that, give that a go. Obviously, only if you have him. I also had a lot of the wrong skills equipped on my characters for this run, which is kind of a shame because it would have made my team a lot more consistent. But, you know, as long as you can beat it, you can beat it. There is a lot of RNG involved. There is a very high possibility that you have all the units that I've shown here and it doesn't work out for you. Just keep trying and you should be able to beat it eventually. The second team I've got is actually relatively consistent considering it has no agile units. I have since put in some agile units in the team. Seiya is one of them. He is insane. And, you know, since this run, I think Sakuragi and Ray may have been a little bit overzealous because it makes the team a little bit less consistent. The basic final point I have on this team is the one I've got right there. If you can find an OB6 Iori friend with the right skills equipped, job done, easy peasy. That team is really consistent, it's really good. If you can't find that, you're better off switching in some agile units for the red ones and trying to find a Seiya friend. I think that's the best way to handle it in my opinion. But yeah, that pretty much concludes the breakdown. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you did get any help from this guide, please do like and share. And that's about all the time we have for today. So I'm going to end the video here, and I will see you guys next time.